Hey everybody, welcome back into the channel. My name is Gary and today we are doing another what sold video. Today's items are for items that we sold on our eBay store between February 15th and February 21st last week. I'm really excited to show you some of these. We had some pretty good sales, some interesting items and some brands that I haven't talked about before. So I'm just excited to talk to you about them, and I hope that this information is helpful for you and your business. If you are new here, my wife Amy and I run an eBay store called Cougar's Corner, and we've been reselling men's and women's clothes for just over 3 years. Right now, we have about 12,500 listings on our eBay store, and we average around 30 sales per day. Each week, we're putting out a new What Sold video just so you guys can see what types of items we're picking up and what items seem to be selling for us. I also just want to say thank you to everyone who's been commenting and leaving reviews on our channel and our videos. It really means a lot to see that the information is helpful. And if this information is helpful to you, I hope you consider subscribing. Thanks again for being here. So let's go ahead and jump into this week's sales. All right, guys. So last week we sold 249 items, which is an increase over the week before. And that resulted in $8,434.68, which is also a pretty significant increase. And I just expect to see these numbers continue to go up, like I've been saying over the last few weeks. This time of year, things really start to ramp up from being slow, which is January, February. Mid February, things start to kind of open up. And again, I would just expect from March through really November, things really get going for us, and hopefully that's something that you're going to notice with your store as well. Like I said, over the last 3 years, January, February tends to be our slowest months, and this year has so far worked out to be that exact same pattern. So the first item that I want to show you is this t-shirt from the company called Rab. Rab is a brand from the United Kingdom, and it's this particular piece wasn't overly impressive. We did take an offer of $28. They're really more known for their jackets, coats, and outerwear. It's a really good brand if you can find coats and jackets. In fact, this last week we found a jacket. It might have been a vest, but I think it was a jacket, and that comped out pretty well, like $50 or $60. But be on the lookout for Rab. This is the logo that you'll see. It's pretty inconspicuous, but really anything from the brand is going to do well for you. So just keep that in your mind if you're out thrifting and you find this particular brand. This next one is a Holderness and Bourne. This is probably one of the better golf polo brands that you can find. They've also got quarter zips and sweaters that do really well. They do better than their polos. We picked this one up even with the embroidery on the front, and we took an offer of 29. This one, I honestly don't know what the embroidery is here. I looked for it. Usually I'll try to put the name of the embroidery if it's a well-known golf club, but I couldn't find it. And I got 2 or 3 offers pretty immediately after listing this. So I suspected that it was something maybe that I was missing. I never have found out what it is. So if you're aware of what this embroidery is, please put a comment down below and let me know. But Holderness and Bourne, I usually pick up all of their polos if I see them, unless they are just really worn or dingy. Also, again, be on the lookout for quarter zips and pullover sweaters. Those can do really well, and we've had good luck with them too. Peter Millar is a great brand. I'm sure you're probably aware of it. They make great golf polos too. This one was a full zip sweatshirt. This one took a little while to sell. I was kind of surprised. It was in a good size, extra large. Had kind of the mock neck fleece look to it. But it ended up selling. It had the inside here with the title of the piece. And we ended up selling this for $31 on an offer. Like I said, I think we had it for a few months, so I'm kind of surprised it made it through the whole winter before selling. But Peter Millar is not an automatic pickup for us anymore. When we first started, we picked up almost every single piece. They do have some older items. Older, cotton type golf polos tend to not do so well for us. Very basic plain button downs are also something that we're passing on. Anything with an with a big custom embroidery we may not pick up. We still do like to get the summer comfort polos and some of the other real lightweight polos. Those still do well. This piece did fine. I'm sure we only picked this up for $5 or $6. So Peter Millar, not quite the brand it used to be, but we still do like picking up some of these pieces. This is an REI puffer coat that I picked up that we sold for 31. I got this at one of the thrift store stops and I just noticed it was on the rack, I think for like $10. It was in really nice condition, was in a great size, two extra large, and I just felt like it would do well. We were still in the season. This I got this last month, and it only took a couple weeks to sell. I really assumed that it might last for um, a few months and maybe not even sell till next winter. So, but I was surprised we got a good offer on it, and we went ahead and sold it. So REI, pretty good brand for their outdoor stuff, like basic t-shirts and shorts. You're probably not going to do real well with them, but something more like this, where it's kind of a mid-season puffer coat, I wouldn't be afraid to pay $10 for this, even though we sold it for 31. That fits into our metrics just fine. These are BKE jeans. Our thrift stores like to price jeans up, sometimes 20 to $30, which, we don't even look at jeans very often, but I did notice these and I think we picked these up for like 10. We sold these for 31. These are a good brand for us. They tend to sell pretty quick. They're not huge money makers, but if they're in decent shape, I usually will pick up the BKEs. Just going through the pictures here, these are kind of distressed. They've got the whiskering on them, and overall they're in pretty good condition. It didn't take very long to sell these. They're a little bit bigger size, the 40 30s, but I always put the name of the line in the title. So these are the BKE Seth jeans. But you can find these at your thrift store. Usually we'll find several pairs, but a lot of times the thrift stores have priced them up into the $20 range, and there's just nothing you can do with them for that. I think you're going to sell most of these in the $30 to $40 range. We sold a pair of Lululemon pants. Lululemon for men's for us still does pretty well. We sold these guys for $31.99, and Lululemon women's tank tops and um, basic leggings really aren't a pickup for us anymore. We do get some if they're in a really good size, good condition, and a nice pattern. Men's stuff we will pick up more frequently. I think we paid $10 for these pants. They are tough to spot sometimes unless you kind of know what to look for. A lot of times they'll have a blank button, which is a good indicator of Lululemon, but there are other brands. I know Members Mark will have a blank button. So you can also see that they're Lululemon with this little tag. Every once in a while, certain lines will have this inconspicuous tag on the back. And then if you're not sure, if you flip over the blank button on the front, a lot of times there will be the Lululemon logo on the back side of the button. So that's always a good spot to check as you're going through pants on the rack real quick. You see a button that looks like this, flip it over, and if you see that, then you're good to go. And then for the size, most of the time, Lululemon's very difficult to find sizes for. Not difficult, but just they make it challenging. These are usually inside of a pocket somewhere on the men's pants. Usually check the back pockets, and you can look to see what the style of the Lululemon pants are. If you type in the LM5AR3S, usually this M will indicate it's a men's piece. If it's a W, it would indicate it's a women's piece. And that's true for most Lululemon items. Is find the L in the style code, search that L through the S, and that will give you the name of the Lululemon style. And that's always helpful to put into your title as well. So these are the ABC Classic Fit pants, and then just put your size and you're good to go. So Lululemon pants, still a good seller for us, and I would pick these up $10 all day. We sold these Polo Ralph Lauren. These are sleepwear pants. They've kind of got the polar bear graphics all over them under the sea. These were a size small, so it's a little bit tougher size, but they were new with tags. And here you can see the tag. Original price of 55. Now, I think we got these pretty close to us, about an hour away. There used to be a Polo Ralph Lauren outlet store, and they didn't always have great sales. I think they've gone out of business or they've closed the store, which is kind of a bummer. But they didn't have tons of great sales. But every once in a while, we would go in and they would have like a $10 or $15 rack, and I think that's where these pants were at. So for 10 or 15 bucks. It was worth picking these up. It took a little while to sell, but we did end up selling them for the full asking price of $35.99. Anything with this little polo bear guy on it, I like picking up because they're just kind of fun and cool, and you don't see them all the time. So this is a flannel shirt from a brand called the Normal brand. They're out of St. Louis, Missouri. And we recently just started picking stuff up from the Normal brand. This one was a new item that we picked up in a clearance sale at a department store for $10. And this one sold really quickly for $35.99. I don't see this. We really saw this brand a lot and just passed on it because I thought it was really saturated. And we picked up a couple pieces in a garage sale haul that we did, and I listed them, and the pieces sold fairly quickly. So as we did more research on it, it's nothing that's going to be, a super high end brand, but they're pieces that we have gotten have sold pretty consistently. And again, if you're just going to find a normal t-shirt, get that normal t-shirt. If you just find a very basic t-shirt, I don't think it's going to do real great, but something more like this flannel shirt, Henley long sleeve shirts have done really well for us from this brand. I wouldn't pay more than $5 or $6 for a shirt like this. It's brand new. I think we paid close to 10 for this, and we got it with several others. But for a $35.99 sale price, that was worth it for us. So just be on the lookout for the Normal brand. You'll see the little bear logo, and I don't know if this one had it, but a lot of times on the back shoulder or down here at the bottom, if I can get my internet to catch up, it'll have a little logo here on the bottom. Here you go. So this little patch right here on the bottom indicates Normal brand. We sold a pair of Ariat women's jeans. Ariat jeans are almost always a pickup if they're the right price. Once they start getting to be 20 bucks, we'll leave them alone. These were mid-rise boot cut jeans in a size 28R. They sold for $31.49. Really don't have any problem selling Ariat jeans. They always tend to sell pretty fast for us, and if we'll pick them up even at $15 because they just sell so fast. It's just within a couple weeks, if that. And so it's a easy way to make even 15 bucks if that's what you've got to pay for them. Probably not going to sell them for more than 30 to 40, but they do go really quickly. This is another interesting piece. I found this on a thrift trip about 3 hours from home. We're nowhere near Baltimore, but this normal Nike Baltimore Ravens t-shirt probably wouldn't be a pickup, but I noticed when I was going through the rack that it had this sticker on the size tag, and you can see that says Marlon Humphrey. And with the number and the logo, this is just an indicator that this t-shirt was issued by the team to this specific player. And anytime you find a sports item that has a sticker like this with a number and a name, it's a good idea to look up the name and just see, does the player still play with the team, or maybe they've moved on to a different team. This is true for basically any sport: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and also professional and college will do this. So not every one of them will look exactly the same, but in this instance, I looked up the name, and Marlon Humphrey still plays with the Baltimore Ravens, and so I picked this one up. It was priced at $10, and it sold for $35.99. It's important to just put that name in your title. I actually got caught by the spell check here, and the name got changed when I put it in, but it still sold almost, I think, like the first or second day that it was listed. So very basic looking shirt. It's easy to look over, but just check out this tag. It's usually somewhere up along where the size tag is at. This is a women's coat from the brand called Ali Miles. This one was new with tags, and we picked this up from a department store clearance sale, I think for $10, and it sold for 35.99. It was kind of a heavier piece, button up jacket with pockets on the front. Ali Miles, pretty decent women's brand. I know they have a lot of kind of loud, colorful pieces. We picked up several of these at that department store clearance, some for 10. We went back a couple different times as the prices decreased during that clearance sale and got a lot of pieces for $3 and then again for $1. So we're going to be putting out a lot of Alley Miles over the next several weeks. But if you find this brand, it can do okay. Some of them will sit for a while, but if you can find a more significant piece like a jacket or a coat, kind of a heavier piece like this, they can do pretty well. I was surprised this one sold as fast as it did, but we will take it. Another sports item that we sold is this brand new with tags Nike Oregon Ducks baseball jersey. Here's kind of the overall look. I've had really good luck with baseball jerseys, and these don't have to be player issued or worn by the team or anything like that. It's just kind of like what you'd see like with a football or basketball jersey. People enjoy, the button-up baseball jerseys just as much. This one had, like I said, new with tags, and certain schools like this, Oregon has a great following, and even though we're not located anywhere near Oregon, this one still made its way to the thrift rack, and I picked it up for I think like $8 or $9, and it sold really quickly for $37. This pickup is a Masters Tech Masters Polo. If you're not a golfer, and I'm not a golfer, but you should know about Masters. It's the big golf tournament for professional golf, and it happens in April in Augusta, Georgia. This is the logo for the Masters, so you really want to be on the lookout for this logo with the little red flag on the United States. And if you find polos from Masters Tech, it may be you may find them called Amen Corner. It might be American Needle makes like hats for Masters. Anything really with the logo is going to be worth a look up. This is more of kind of the performancey, stretchy material polo shirt. And I had it for a couple months, but as we get closer to the Masters tournament, stuff with Masters on it's just going to fly. And I think we've got 5 or 6 of these in just a green color. This one sold for 40.49, which was our asking price. It was in great condition, no stains or anything like that. So just be on the lookout for Masters Tech, anything Masters. And if you find it in the summer, don't be afraid if it doesn't sell immediately. These tend to have a lot of velocity at this time of year as we get closer to the Masters tournament in April. These pants are Faraday pants. The brand, here's the tag. These were really inconspicuous pants on the rack. They didn't look like much, but we did notice the tag on the inside. And these sold for 40.49. Um, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Faraday's a good brand still. We pick up most of the Faraday that we see. Usually the thrift stores aren't pricing it up. It's not a brand that they come across very often. But anytime we're able to find Faraday pieces, if it's a polo or just a t-shirt, we'll usually pick them up. They're not going to sell for huge money, but these pants for $40, I know we picked them up for like 5, so that's a great turnaround. And they sold fairly quickly, so you're not going to stick you're not going to have these on hand for a real long time. There's really not too much that indicates these pants on the outside. You can see here the button says Faraday on it. And then this is their little logo. Sometimes this will be in like a red or blue color, but yeah, this with the little sun coming up over the wave. If you notice that on a shirt or a pair of shorts or pants, good indication that it's the Faraday brand. Travis Matthew, this is what's called a cloud waffle sweater. That's not so important, but I do want to just talk about Travis Matthew for a second. This is a brand that we used to pick up almost everything from polos and t-shirts. And I've really noticed that polos and t-shirts have really dropped off lately in the last year or so. So for us to pick up anything Travis Matthew, it needs to either be new with tags, like this sweater was. We picked up some new with tags button downs, or it has to be in excellent condition, almost new. Um, if you find, you're going to find most likely their polos and their t-shirts, very golf centered type brand. If you find those, just ensure that they're in almost like new condition. If they're not, you're going to have a tough time. Even if they're in like a solid color, like a navy blue or a gray, there's just not a ton of demand. I would hold out for the items that are going to have more of a geometric pattern to them or more of a brightly colored stripe or something like that. You can also have good luck if you find some of the bigger sizes. So 2 and 3X tend to do a little bit better. This particular sweater sold pretty nice for us only because it was new and it was a 2XL. And so we got 42.50 for this one. Um, but I wouldn't go out and just make a living off Travis Matthew t-shirts and polos unless it had something extra to offer. This Eileen Fisher alpaca Peruvian alpaca sweater sold for us for 42.50. There were some sold comps in the $80 range, and then there were some sold comps in the $40 range. And so when I got a $42 offer on this, I went ahead and sold it. As you can see, it is new with tags. It's kind of the loose knit sweater. We're really almost out of sweater season, and I was really happy to sell this. We haven't had it for very long. I think it sold within just a few days, but I figured if it didn't sell now, we'd probably hold on to it until the fall. And I'd just rather have that space for something else. We picked this up at, again, at a department store clearance sale, I think for $10, and sold it for 42.50 really quick. Anytime you find Peruvian alpaca, if it's made in Peru, if it's alpaca, probably worth looking up and comping out because that's a desirable material. Um, so it's just something to be on the lookout for. All right, I really like selling these Ralph Lauren shirts. This is a Here's your Ralph Lauren tag. This is a long sleeve button down denim Ralph Lauren shirt. I cannot find enough of these. Every time we have one, they sell within just a few days for really good money. This one sold for full asking price of $44.99. Normally, they're selling in the $40 to $50 range if they're in good shape, and even if it's got wear on the elbows or the cuffs or even a couple small pinholes, I'd still be interested in picking something like that up for $5 or $10 because I just can't keep them. Every time we have them, they sell so fast, and I don't know why. It's just the style, but a denim Ralph Lauren shirt definitely worth the pickup if you can get it for $5 or $10 for sure. This is another Ariat piece. This is a fire resistant Ariat piece. This is a long sleeve hoodie sweatshirt. It wasn't a size small, but these always sell really fast for us. Whenever we find anything Ariat fire resistant, whether it be jeans, long sleeve button downs, this hoodie, coats, whatever the case is, if it's fire resistant and from Ariat, it's going to be a quick seller. So don't be afraid to even pay $10, $15 for this faded hoodie. This one sold for us for $44.99, and it was only listed for a few days. If you scroll through some of these pictures, you'll see that it has all the fire resistant information on it, on the tags. So just take a look at those and make sure you take pictures of that. These types of clothes are needed for people who work with electrical or other types of industries that need fire resistant clothing. I bought this Nike Aeroloft golf vest at the thrift store. I saw it on the rack, and you could tell quickly that it was a little bit better of a Nike piece. Most Nike pieces are pretty generic, but this one you could feel that it had some material inside of it just to help insulate it. And if you're not sure, I always would recommend coming down here on the inside of the item, usually down on the bottom left, if you're wearing it, will be this material tag. And then behind the material tag, at least for Nikes, there will be This smaller tag and this number that starts with the 833 334, that is the style code for Nike. And then the 010 is the color code. So 010 is black. If you type in 833 334 into a search engine and put Nike, it's going to come up with what this piece is normally, usually, almost all the time. And so when I did that, it came up with this zoned arrow layer golf vest. Plug that into the title, and you'll be able to use that to help draw in buyers who are looking specifically for this piece. This sold internationally for $35.99, and we only had it for a few days listed on eBay. So if you do see a significant Nike piece, don't be afraid to look it up. You can just search that style code and it'll give you the name of the piece. Then use that name in eBay to search, and you can see what your listed and sold comps are. This FootJoy super soft wind shirt sold. This is like a windbreaker jacket. This one was new with tags, and it took probably a couple months for this one to sell. It was kind of a goldish color, size large. FootJoy does really well for us when it comes to jackets and windbreakers. For polos and golf pants, they're not as easy to sell. Although we typically will sell like a polo for $20 to $25. A lot of FootJoy polos will have a custom embroidery on it, and that does tend to hurt the value unless it's something better. I know we sold one that had Torrey Pines on it, which was a little bit better golf course. That did sell a little bit easier, but they're pullover jackets or quarter zips. I am a fan of picking those up, and especially since this one was new, I think this one was a really easy sell. Even though it took a few weeks, I wouldn't be afraid to spend $10 or $15 on something like this. We sold this guy for 49.49. This is another Dixon flannel shirt that we sold. I know that I've put one of these on just about every single video we've had, but they just keep trickling out of our store, at least a handful per week. I don't know how many we've got left, probably like 20 or 25. So if you've already seen me talk about Dixon and you're tired of hearing about it, just fast forward to the next item. But if you haven't heard about these, Dixon, really great brand of flannel shirts, very high in demand. We bought out a local collection last fall that had about 200 pieces, and we've been slowly selling those ever since. A couple things to look for on the Dixon flannels and to include in your title is the name of the shirt. And here, this one was Clockworks. Usually the size will be up here or somewhere on this tag. This one was a 3X. And then I would also include pictures, close ups of things like these buttons, which have the name of the shirt on the button. And then usually, my internet's being pretty slow today, but usually the material tag will have some other Dixon logos or sayings on there as well. So include that in your listing and your pictures, and you won't have any problem selling Dixons. This one sold for 44.99. I'm sorry, 49.99, and we picked up all of these for $15 a piece. We sold this Tommy Bahama sweater. This was a just a gray long sleeve sweater. It was new with tags, and we had this thing for probably 4 or 5 months. It made it almost all the way through winter before we got an offer here the other day. And no, actually, this one sold for full price, $53.99. There really wasn't anything too special about this. It was just a gray colored sweater, V-neck, but it was new with tags. And anything Tommy Bahama new with tags is going to be a pickup for us. We'll usually buy them up to like $20 for this sweater. I think we probably gave 10 or 15. We sold another new with tags Tommy Bahama. This was a Tommy Bahama long sleeve button down shirt. This one is called the Canyon Beach Flannel, and we picked this one up at the department store clearance sale for $10, and it sold for $53.99. Anytime you can find one that has this name under the brand, like Canyon Beach Flannel, it's a good to include into your title. This one was a really good size, 2 extra large tall, and it just had a really good pattern to it. This blue and green plaid looks really nice, shows up well on our color, on our background. So We probably have 3 or 4 more of these new Attack Tommy Bahamas, and I expect those may sit for a little while since we're getting into spring and summer, but by the fall, these things will sell with no problem. This is an interesting story on this polo shirt. I found this at one of our closer thrift stores, and it was on our color of the week sale. Our Goodwills each week has a new color of the week. Usually it's the items that have been out the longest, which in our case usually rotates about 3 weeks. And since we're at this thrift store at least once a week, I'd passed over this thing 2 or 3 different times until we picked it up. It was 75% off of like $5. This thing was probably 1 or 2 days away from ending up in the bins. And at first glance, it just looks like a normal Nike polo with a little plus sign on it. But when I pulled it out, I immediately just saw down here on the lapel this little logo. And I knew what it was because we had sold some hats that had this on it before. This is the Roger Federer Nike logo. Roger Federer is a professional tennis player, and anything that he has Nike wise can just sell for a premium. I immediately threw this in the cart and knew what I had. I didn't know how much it was worth, but I knew it was worth more than just a $10 polo. So did some comps, and just about an hour after this thing went live, I immediately had a $70 offer, and which was really more than what I thought it was worth when I did the listing. I thought we'd get 50, and so I priced it higher up at like 90 to see if I could get an offer. And so with the $70 offer that came in, I went ahead and took it, and I kind of beat myself up a little bit because I didn't notice it for 2 to 3 weeks at the thrift store that there's a $70 polo just sitting there. But nobody else noticed it either, so I was happy to have gotten it and gotten the sale. But this is what you're looking for. Anytime you can find a polo, obviously, and then we've had good luck with hats, Nike hats. It will have that logo either prominently on the front or on the side. And if you find that, you've got an item worth picking up for sure. Roger Federer. We sold this pair of Brooks glycerin shoes. These were women's 9.5s. We found these and another pair at a local thrift store. They were in really good condition. And always just take a look at the bottom of the shoes to see how much wear is left on running shoes like this. A lot of times, running shoes can look really nice on the outside, but they may be completely worn out on the bottom. All of the cushioning on the inside may be worn out, but these were in good shape. Brooks, probably not quite the level of shoe that like On Clouds are. But if you can find a good condition pair of Brooks or ASIC running shoes, those can do really well. And I think we picked these up for maybe $10 and they sold for 53.99. Right. This is a fun story. I found these Sims fishing waders. I didn't have a really great way of picturing them. I wasn't exactly sure what they were when I first found them. They were at a garage sale that we were at back in the fall, and it was one of the last sales that we had stopped at for the day. It was like 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning. We went into the garage and we were just looking around. We didn't find a whole lot, but I saw this little bag. I knew Sims is a good fishing brand. They have some high quality fishing gear. In addition to like if you find their button ups or pants, Sims is just a good brand overall to be on the lookout for. But I picked up the bag and it was new with tags. There was a tag right here, and it said, if it'll load for me, the Freestone travel waders. And so I knew that there was fishing waders inside. I didn't really know exactly how much they were worth or what I even had. And when I asked the guy how much he wanted for them, he was like $10. And I thought, well, for $10, I'll just take the chance on these, and got them home, unrolled them. And I'm like, man, there's no boots or anything like that. But I did a little bit of research and found that even these travel waders can be worth pretty good money in new condition like this. I kind of shot for the moon and priced them at 300. Didn't have anybody take me up on that for a while, but I did end up getting a $200 offer, and I took that offer to get them out. I figured with a $10 investment, $200 on the table was worth taking. So um, garage sales, you can't beat them. Um, Even if you find them at 10:30 in the morning and it looks like everything's picked over, they're still worth going to. You just never know. And here, with it being mid-February, our garage sale season usually kicks off about a month from now in mid-March and goes strong through the end of April and the beginning of May. So we're really looking forward to garage sale season because of stuff just like this. You can turn $10 into 200 somewhat regularly if you have a good knowledge of what you're looking for. And the last item that I'll show you guys is this Polo Ralph Lauren linen two-piece suit. Um, I didn't do a great job picturing this because everything came together. I found this at a department store clearance sale about 5 hours from home. I went on a little 2-day thrifting trip and I had a cart full of other items, and I was walking by the men's suit section, and there was one little clearance spot there, and there was this suit and another Polo Ralph Lauren suit there, and I went over to look because the prices weren't clearly marked as to what they were, but I saw that this had a $698 MSRP, and they wanted $50 for this suit and the other one, and so linen is a pretty good indicator of value. And for a two-piece suit, brand new Polo Ralph Lauren, I thought for $50, it's a pretty good gamble to pick that up. And this one was only listed for about maybe a week, maybe less. And we got a $250 offer, and I accepted that. And this one shipped out last week. So we've got one more, and I'm hoping that that one goes out as well. It's a little bit bigger size than this one. This one was a 38 with a 31. I don't sell a ton of suits. We normally, if we sell anything, are just suit jackets and blazers. So I think this is the first time we actually sold a two-piece suit with the jacket and the pants. And then I just made sure to take measurements of everything, show all the tags, and hopefully everything fits. But the buyer seemed happy to get a deal, and we were happy to help them out and send these out. So that's the last item I've got for you guys. Thanks again for watching. I hope these videos are helpful. And again, I appreciate all the comments and feedback that we get. And if you felt like this video was helpful to you and your business, please consider subscribing and leaving me a comment and letting me know. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.